I think my mic's been going. Who knows? Well, here we go. We've been dealing with the heat. It has not really cooled down much. It is cooler. But I'm going to get to myself here, I guess, for a few minutes. We've just been trying to deal with our yard work. We have yard work, and it's a little warm. And Nikki's been actually getting up early and dealing with some of that stuff. Also, we had season 12 of GameNight start today, which we have no gaps, so you wouldn't really notice the difference. But we are getting ready to do the SDJ coverage that we do every year. This year is going to be a little different because we don't have as many games to play. Although we have not, there have been no episodes for the 3 SDJ nominees, but all the Kenners have been released. We had one 2 years ago. I think it was like in September. I'm not sure that we got that out real quick. We filmed it once in August after Gen Con. We were really excited about it, and then there was a problem with that, and then we filmed it again, and there was a problem with that. Games were perfectly fine, but something happened each time that would where we couldn't release it, and so then we did it again with Dave, and we did that was Guild of Merchant Explorers, and then we had Daybreak we did with Dave, and Ticket to Ride, Legends of the West Legacy. That was another one we did with Dave, and that was those are the 3 of us for those. So it's going to be a different situation. I don't know. I'm not sure that Dave will be able to be here, and I don't know about Aaron. Aaron is either in Italy or will be in Italy soon, and it's a family thing where they're going for special thing, and so that's cool. And then I don't know. We'll see. Candace said she's only played 2 of the games, and she thought she'd only played 1, and so she was saying she'd have to bow out because she just doesn't have the time to play all those games. In probably a week or 2, we're going to have to do the discussion video. And Mike is testing for his job. He's doing some recertification. He's been certified in it before, but he says he's having a little trouble with it. And so if he gets that through, he's going to be on vacation. So we will be definitely challenged, but it's how it is. We'll see how it goes. We did the stuff during the pandemic, and it was just Nikki, me, and Scott and Derek, and we were the only ones that played everything, I think, because once again it was difficult to get the games. I can't even remember how we got the children's games. I think some of them were sent to us. One of them was the Roboter one from Nürnberger Spiel, NSV, Nürnberger Spiel Karten Verlag, and then the other was Hamster Roll, which we got from the original publisher, and then I don't remember what the third kids game was. They were all pretty good, but yeah, it's a challenge. Let's see. Well, I've been painting when it's I had a little bit of time to wait because this week's episode was 4 hours, and Derek had to finish editing it, and we filmed it a few weeks back. We had filmed it once and had a problem with our decks. We didn't realize it until after we were done. I mean, I think everybody realized it. It was too easy. But we didn't really realize it. We had some cards we shouldn't have had. We all had that were, I think, from the Investigators pack for this game, for this expansion. And so we reshot it. Aaron, we thought, well, I guess that won't be the season opener because Aaron was going to be gone, and it turned out he had a little bit more time, so we filmed it, I think, 2 weeks ago. I rushed to get it together so we could do it because I did want it to be the season opener. I think that is a fun one, and we had a good time playing the game originally, and promised that we would play it more, and we never did. I have tons of expansions. I don't think I have that many big box expansions, the larger box expansions, and we didn't have the latest edition of the game, I think, that actually does support 4 players. We had 2 two-player versions of the game. So it was kind of interesting. But it was great to play it, and we had a great time. Today, I'm going to paint. I plan on doing Luke Cage, excuse me. I'm having some of the Diet Coke spiced zero sugar, and I got to tell you, so yesterday Nikki dropped a can, and it sprayed everywhere in the shop area outside the studio here, and it smelled nice. It smelled like raspberries. Today it smells like mustard, so I'm wondering if they use if the spiced means mustard. I don't know if that's the case or not, but tastes good cold. We're nerds for the weird flavors. We got it's so odd. Sometimes Pepsi will have the Mountain Dew crazy flavors in zero flavor. I really can't have sugared soda. I'm diabetic, and so I don't even like them. Like anymore, if I drink regular soda, it's just too much for me. And Nikki, she used to drink regular soda all the time, and I'm like, you're tiny. I don't think you can keep doing this, because she really Dr. Pepper is sort of her coffee in the morning, so or Diet Coke, and so she stopped drinking sugar sodas most of the time, and so neither of us, I don't even want to really try the ones that are not. I think I might have a couple times, and I'm like, yeah, that's too much for me. But we found the Purple Thunder one, and I thought it was going to be great because Nikki, and it would be bad because Nikki does not do with grape well. For whatever reason, she gets headaches. So I don't know if that's, because sometimes there's no grape in them, or maybe she's used to the things that are not naturally flavored grape. I don't know. No, she has a problem with grape juice. We don't get it. But it isn't grape. It's berry and plum, so who knows what that is. And I'm like, isn't plum what they put? But I mean, I guess they supposedly use, like, plums are the non-dried version of prunes. Supposedly they use prune juice on Dr. Pepper, but I don't know. Anyway, we were happy to find that, and we've been trying that out. It's just funny how we get on these kicks. And but today let's cut to the table. I'm like hitting something and I'm hearing a beep, but that isn't it. I worked on a bunch of things. I finished, she's really kind of finished. Jessica Jones. She still has intense eyes. I don't know. I tried to soften them up a bit. I need to put on the readers because I can't see that close. And I tried to soften them, and they're still pretty intense. But you know what? She's intense. So turned out good. I mean, I probably will do something to knock down the intensity of the hair. I will probably be varnishing some of these these pieces today, since I haven't done that, I think, on a stream in a very long time. But I'm going to paint some bases. I'm going to do the ones that I have. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Did I stop midway? No, I know. You know what? I'm not done with the swords. That is why. I didn't paint the bases on these, and I don't like to. And I'm actually not done with this one. I have some stuff I want to do to his glasses. So we'll see. But I did. I think this one's done. I keep wanting to call him Cable, but he's the Punisher. And this one's essentially done. I was going to do more to this, but I think he looks great, and I don't need to worry about it. Moon Knight. But I do have some black. I kept going. Did I stream on Tuesday? Well, we streamed Tuesday games. I think I just had free time. Tuesday was my free day, essentially, because but Derek did finish editing, and so I think the night before, I think he finished Monday. So I reviewed the edit for the 4-hour episode, which is a lot of watching, and then while it rendered, which took 2.5 hours, no more than that, probably about 2.5 hours, then I had to upload it. So all those things like really tie up my computer. So and then I was proxying some stuff, and I'm proxying stuff today. So I had time that I was able to come out here into the studio and paint, and I got that, worked on Goodness, what is this guy called? Oh man, it just logged me out. I cannot take this. The Apple is too, I don't know, maybe it's Chrome, I don't know. So now I have to re-log in, and I really don't like it. I should just make it my personal one, but this is mostly used for work. Anyway, but I do want that because I'm going to paint Luke Cage today. He's definitely different shading. I may go back, I might just work on this one first and then go back and airbrush this one. I mean, you want it to be darker, but I think it's going to be too dark. So now I did these at different times. I'm really going to try to prime these at the same time from now on as I do continue to do them. So I know the multiverse Marvel United's coming soon, and I am actually close to finishing. I'm going to be that's part also what I'm going to be doing today, which is cleaning the mold lines. I have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 left. I believe that is it. There might be another miniature or two floating around that I haven't done from that series, but if they are, I think that they're the Spider-Verse ones, you know, from the Spider-Geddon set. So that's not a lot left. 5, 8, 14, yeah. So I did work on Nebula. I have already painted Nebula once before, but I cleaned off the mold lines as best I could here. I'm going to double check it. I probably should use a file. I have files coming out of my ears and I don't know where they're at. Let's see. They should be up on the magnetic rack, but they are not. Let me track those down too. But I want to like clean some of the channels on her scalp, although they're not bad, but I do want to clean that out. Hey Panda Angel, how you doing? Got your email earlier. I'm glad you're it's working out for you guys, and thanks for the update to the schedule. Or for her community. You should check out Amanda. She's fun. We had a great time with her last week. We filmed with Dave on his last day in town before he went back up north to take care of his mom. So she had a health incident that he said she's not doing bad. It just scared her. It's a bummer. We definitely love seeing Dave, and we had plans to film on Friday with Mike, and so Dave was gone on Thursday morning, so we just filmed without Dave and just did the three of us, which is fine. The biggest problem for me about that is we're just trying to cover if Dave's involved in the discussion. I mean, we don't even know that Mike will be either. You know, we'll have to play that a lot of those games, especially the kids' games, again, so that they have an opportunity to check them out, or it'll just be Nikki and me commenting on them. We're probably going to have Brian and Tosh. I mean, they said they wanted to be involved. We'll find out if they are available, because, you know, it's summertime. They were interested. So last year we told Tashi that she graduated from just doing the kids stuff to doing the whole thing. And so we'll probably we have 2 games to film still, I think. Yes, we do. We have the Big and Small Gems, the one from Wolfgang Varsh to film, and we don't know how to play that one. And then Christoph told us he goes, it's very simple. I haven't had a chance to actually there's a video from Schmidt in German, but I probably can figure out the gameplay from that. But I still will talk to him. He is on vacation as well. So we'll have a talk with him and see how to play that. It would be fun if we could have Christoph on, but he's on the jury, so we can't really ask him what he thinks. He is very happy with the nominations. He likes them a lot. He generally tells me like what he's excited about towards the nomination time as far as games that he likes. And I don't recall if all of these showed up I know that some of them did. And you know, they also go into an intense section there. You know, nominations aren't the same as announcing the winners. They do a lot of testing, at least they used to, now before the awards, so that they have an opportunity to see if the games work with the general public. You know, they want them to be as easy to understand and smooth for, you know, particularly since they're for kids. So, let's see here. We had, there's not a ton of television to watch right now, which we're not crazy television people. We started watching Discovery during the pandemic, and it's a fine show. It's not 100% for me, only because, I mean, I was never a Trek person at all. Trekker. I mean, I liked the movies, and you know, I knew the shows, but my brother and dad really liked that show, the old one, first one, the original series. And so when I when that show started, you know, we had some friends that were checking out. They actually were doing, you know, changing their, well, actually, I think they were just signing in Germany when they were visiting to see the new series, which, you know, that's cool. But we didn't start watching it until 2020, I think. But we did watch Strange New Worlds, which was fun, and so far, and we really like Lower Decks. I think Rusty was the one that was just really telling us how much he enjoyed it. So we had fun with that. And then we've also been watching The Acolyte, which people have been getting upset about, which it's fine. I mean, my expectations for Star Wars shows are kind of lower now, which is unfortunate. But it's not terrible, and this last episode was a pretty kind of a big deal. Kind of went where a lot of Star Wars shows don't go. We've also been watching, we finally started watching the third season of it, Only Murders in the Building, which is a silly show. But, because, you know, they set some person up at the end of every episode to be the person that you think might have done it, but it's still fun. It's Steve Martin and Martin Short and Selena Gomez, and they're all really good. So anyway, he turned out pretty good. I don't want to handle it too much. I can see here I did not do a good job. Oh, you know, this one probably didn't get painted. I did run out of paint, and I had to eat. I got on the phone with my mom and didn't get back out here. So I need the black. There was a cool, it was essentially kind of a puff piece, but there was a cool video of a Maniac going to Pro Acryl's offices in Arizona, and it's interesting how they make their paint. And I think I watched, gosh, what did I see? Where I saw, so Rogue Hobbies did a set of colors for them recently, and she chose like very kind of high-end pure colors. And so her set of 6 colors can be used to make 2 different full color wheels, and she says you can mix just about every color with her paints, and she shows 3 different color wheels with the 6 different colors. It's pretty awesome. Password. Let me just do this for a minute. I'm sorry. Let's just put these fellas back in the shot. And they all lean kind of. It's funny. You know, they're not meant to lay flat. But yeah, we haven't had as much, you know, the writers' strike and actors' strike and all that caused delays on all, hey, time roller, delays on all of the TV shows. So most everything was a reduced season. Well, I'm sorry, that was a message that I didn't really care about. So let's get my password here. But I am excited about the new Marvel United. I should be receiving something pretty soon. I was wondering why in the last batch of stuff, I got them way before Scott, and it turns out through logistics, it gets to the West Coast before the East Coast, and they actually, probably to save on shipping, ship from two different, you know, because then you have a big processing in something and might have to travel the whole country, one direction or the other. And so they must have shipped West Coast first the last time as well. I mean, I think they already have them in Asia. And understandably so, they come from China. So let's see. My password says it's fantastic. So, wow, I can't stand this one. Ugh. It's one of those passwords that uses characters. So when it says it's great, it means it's a complicated password. And it is. I don't generate my own passwords. I use a password manager to do that stuff. And it's helpful, I'll tell you that, just because I don't want to have to keep track of them. But I have a master password, oh my gosh, that is just out of this world. And I have it memorized, which is pretty awesome, but goodness, too much. But yeah, this one uses some, you know, I's and F's. I mean, I's and L's, lowercase L's, uppercase I's, lowercase L's, which just confused the heck out of me. Let's see here. I should just put this password in, like one of the, this is a Mac, they have a password manager now, I think, so I should just use theirs on this machine. Yipes. We like a German band called Deichkind. Oh my gosh. It is the worst password, I gotta tell you. I absolutely, I don't know. I need to get the password manager on this computer is what I really need to do. Let's see how hard that is. Wow, now it's paused. See, that's weird. I keep getting an error. I need to figure this out because it's something wrong in this PC for the sign-ins. That is maybe one of the reasons why I'm having troubles here, because it says it's red where it shows my user Google account. Normally, lately, I don't know what has happened, but right now it's saying paused, but it's lately it's been red that it's errored out. So I'm like, what is happening? And I tried to figure it out, but I don't use Macs regularly, and it is really annoying because it's all funky. I wish it wouldn't log me out. I mean, I don't mind. Well, I don't know. Certain things I get it. I mean, a Google account is important. This is the work one. I'm going to try it one more time because I believe this is it. I should put a note in here just for that. As soon as I know. Everything has been logging out recently way more. It really is bugging me. I have I don't get on it all the time, but I have the Stern Insider connected app, and it has problems. That is not it. Well, let me think about it later. Too much. Different techniques, figures look good. So I'm doing, you know, the same thing, but I'm trying to do a little bit more, Scott, where I'm doing highlights and things like that. The skin on these guys came out pretty good. She's a little dark. I lightened her up a little bit with the traditional paint. I mean, standard acrylics. But he's cool. He turned out, what is his name? Iron. Of course, see, that's why I wanted to look on the figure this out. Well, let me see. I did that password. It did not go. It has to be that, so let me try one more time. It's so weird. But yeah, I have, so the problem is I actually should put this on my personal drive. Maybe it wouldn't be such a problem. I have all the Marvel photos that I saved over time here, and they are fantastic reference. It's what I need to have, especially since I don't know all the characters. And it just keeps logging me out. Today I had a problem with Twitter doing the same thing on my standard PC, not a Mac. And thankfully I got it to work, because we use an account for everybody to do our Twitter stuff, our social media. It's not, it's weird. I wish they had like better tools. Maybe they do if you pay money. Better tools for multiple users for the signing into account, and not have to get somebody to do the code verification, the two-step authentication, which is good. But that was it. I need to make a note. Let me put that. How do I do this? There is a way to do it. Notes. Oh, what the heck? What the heck? Was I looking at that? Oh, you know what? It's because I'm editing. If you go into the edit, oh my gosh, had I known that. It's a different typeface. Wow. Okay, well, let me remember that. That's cool, though. At least it clarifies what case that letter is in, or what letter it is and what case it is in. Anyway, so yeah, this turned out pretty cool. I'm real happy with, again, her eyes are pretty intense. But come on, focus. But this one's pretty good, as far as me trying to do two of the same thing. This one's a little darker, but I like them both. And I think I'm just getting a little better with the brush technique, because I am trying to do their teeth and things like that, which I have done. I was not happy with their lips, but I think that her lips look pretty good. They're slightly different, but this one looked really terrible, and now it looks pretty good. So let's do the black. I was doing that. I need a tiny bit of water, so I did fill up my distilled water little eyedropper bottle here. So I'm going to use a larger brush, not the one that I always use, though. I do use it for the base. So let's do his base. It's not fully, that's actually pretty good. So actually I don't know that I'm going to be able to varnish. I forgot one other thing I do is I do the black, and then Adam Smasher showed me a way to that he does to make it seems like it's not important, but it does seem to work. If you put a coat of the black contrast paint over the standard acrylic that you did here, you know, I should actually be using this. Because I don't like handling the head too much and things like that. But when you put that, I've been using the Black Templar over it. It does make it look a little better, and I don't know what it is. It doesn't remove the brush marks. You know, I'm probably not thinning this enough. Plus, things are drying very quickly lately. It is warm. I was doing something last night. I guess it was last night that I was doing the base of these. Thought it was Monday or Tuesday. And it was drying quick, really, really quick. Which things dry quick here in Southern California, but I think it was quicker than normal. And so I was having issues with I really didn't thin this enough. It's very brush strokey. So only thin, I did put some in there, but not enough. Last night's was pretty good. You definitely want to thin it as best you can. You want, you know, it still needs to have as strong as consistency as it can. It needs to be as opaque as possible. But you get a much better, you know, much smoother coat. And, you know, it's Duncan Jones says too thin coats. It's 100% the reality. If you do it that way, you're going to have much more attractive results. So yeah, it's drying so fast that I'm not even having the risk of tearing the paint as I'm coming around on itself. What was I using? I guess I was using that, so I will not be using that. I don't really love the black rings that I have all over the place from the minis resting. Okay, so this one was done, but we will give it another go. Doesn't hurt to do multiple coats. But this one was drying, I think that was drying fast. And it could have been that my paint had lost some of its moisture, you know, just sitting in the palette. I started painting them on the stream and then called my mom and chatted with her while I painted a bunch more. And so it might have been the reason why I was drying so quickly. But it works pretty great. It does a nice job. And then I use AK Interactive varnishes. These are varnishes I've had a long time. I don't know that I would, I mean, I really like them, but I don't know that I would buy them again. They are very large bottles. And I don't know. I mean, I've seen them get bad on the shelf. Like things are yellowing and I'm just nervous. I don't know. They seem to be great here, and maybe that's just the bottle changing color, but I really do like them. It's a bummer, but who knows? I am excited to see the new campaign for CMON is going to be the DC United. That starts on the 10th of July. I will be backing the game. I really, really was going to try not to do that, but as you are guessing and I've been hinting at, I will probably do the whole dang thing, which means it's going to be expensive. You know, the last one of these was $400 something. I don't remember what. I think it was $300 for the previous. Actually, that looks pretty good. What was the one that looked terrible though? Something looked bad. I thought it was her. It's at the very bottom. I'm wondering if it's just catching or if I'm not doing a good job just getting it to the edge. It probably doesn't matter, but Well, I was saying we really like this band Daikin. They have a new single, but what's cool about it for me is it's very Herbie Hancock rocket, and it's got like all kinds of like, it's got some like Kraftwerk kind of stuff going on and things like that. But and I was telling our friend Sebastian, because he was the one to let me know that this new single was out, and I mean, I guess it's new, but it sounds familiar to me, so I don't know if it's a redo of one of their other songs or something. I don't know, but anyway. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, what's that? There's a turntable and some records, and I'm like, what is that? And I recognize the album cover, and it was Herbie Hancock's, I don't know if it was the single, but I definitely remember that cover. I think it was the album with like a sticker that said the album Rocket was on it. And there was also a Kraftwerk album cover. But yeah, Sebastian told me, he's like, oh, it's really like, I don't remember, he said Kraftwerk and something else, because I said it had a little bit of Blade Runner and like Sebastian's Apartment and the Rocket video. And so I see the one, and then there's a Kraftwerk album behind it, but there was also like a Forbidden Planet soundtrack or something like that in the pile, which is funny. It's hard to see it. I was on my phone, so I was able to stop it and check it out. But we went to go see them. I guess that was 2022. Because we went in May. We actually weren't going to see them. We were going to see Kraftwerk. That tour was canceled. We were supposed to go in May of 2020. There was a whole bunch of travel. We had a bunch of travel planned for that year. Let's see here. I know there's something. Oh, it was this one, I think. No, that's pretty good too. But yeah, we were going to go see Kraftwerk, and then Annie wrote me, and she's like, hey, they're going to be in town. They're doing the show just the night before. Do you want to go? Like, yeah, we never ever thought we'd go see them, because how would that possibly time out correctly? And so it was great. But we were in Germany in the summer, and boy, oh boy, was it hot. I think Annie was saying that was not typical for them. But it was cool. These two have been drying. So let's do this. See how this looks. So I did leave one of my bottles open over the weekend, like 2 or 3 days, and it seems to be okay, but I was really bummed. It's the bottle for the Gilliman flesh. And I mean, I have used that bottle a lot. Now, it hasn't painted that much stuff. But you know, a lot of flesh. It is my favorite color for flesh. I mean, any human flesh. I think they were saying they used AI in that. I don't know what they did. I read a article as best I could, and then with the limited German I remember, and not surprising that they would do something, but it did not look like, it looked like it was real gadgets, because they had like a drone with the lead singer's head in a rubber, you know, like a rubber mask, kind of a life mask. It looked pretty great. And they definitely have some interesting videos, in particular recently. Here's another tip that I probably should be following myself. You shouldn't start on the front of the miniature. You should start on the back. But look how quickly that's drying. It's already pretty dry, you know, like 50% already. So let me follow my own advice. Start on the back. Oh, I know which one looked bad. Was Wasp. I've been handling that one too much, and I did not varnish it yet. Okay, yeah, this is one that has to be painted. I don't think the black would be enough. Well, let me just try it. What the heck? What the heck? I don't think so, though. I do know, well, oh, hey, I'm painting it regular black. I do know that these paints, the contrast paints especially, are kind of thin. So if you handle it a lot, it could be a problem. Now, this is a weird one because I thought this one was varnished, but it's so, I don't know, maybe it is. Just the base has been handled too much. I looked at a couple of great users. One on Thingiverse did these inserts for all of the, so far they have the first two phases, X-Men 1 and Mutants in the first phase of Marvel stuff. And they're 3D printed inserts, which will be forever to print. But it looked pretty great. The problem is, of course, I mean, I can't imagine they're going to do much more Marvel stuff. I mean, I don't know. There's so many characters here. You know, they're repeating stuff, so I think that that's probably it. But I would probably collectively put all these together, which would be cool. And he uses some of the boxes. The inserts are great. And then some one of the users on BGG made some great divider cards that I would like to go print. This is absolutely had varnish on it. Although it is literally one of the first ones I painted of the Marvel United ones, so. Oh wait, no, I'm using the, oh, whatever. Going back and forth. I am out of the other paint anyway, so. What I should do is, I mean, gloss just makes everything, you know, it's like putting one of those lip treatments on a cold sore. Everything stands out. So I don't know, maybe I just do multiple coats of like the, well, I was explaining too, I generally mix a little bit of the matte, ultra matte and the matte. The matte has a little more sheen than I like, and I find that if you mix the two together, you get, I think you get a pretty good combo of the shade of the, for me anyway, of the amount of sheen that it has. You know what, I said I was going to go around the back. Okay. I put all these on the edge of this mat so it's the least amount of touching, because I have rings all over the play mat. I have a cutting board that I use as the main part, and then this is a paint mat that I bought from GW when they still had a store near us. There we go. Looks pretty good. Oof, that stuff really is intense in the mix of the water reservoir I have here. Okay, did I take care of her? See, the stuff's sticking to it, and this makes me nervous about any kind of storage for this stuff. Like, this is what the varnish is supposed to help with, but I feel like it's always a little too sticky. But maybe this is not varnished. Boy, sure. No, maybe not. I was still working on her face, which I have not finished. Hey, another one that I haven't finished. It's pretty done though. Let me close that up. Not make the mistake of leaving anything open in case I don't get back to that color. This one looks great. It doesn't have the shading though, so this is one where I tried to airbrush a zenithal undercoat with metallics, and it's only okay. I think really ultimately what I needed to do was darker. I don't know if I had a dark enough metallic anyway, so I should have just mixed the metallic in my black, primed it that way, and went up. Now I have still one more Iron Man, I believe, that I could try the technique on. I've done 3 different techniques. Do I have all 3 of them out here? I think I do. There he is. They're all quite different. I kind of feel like the dry brushed metallic is my favorite of the 3. But I really like this one. I think the colors are the most vibrant. But, you know, I wanted to try to have him, because, you know, he has a very metallic look, you know, like a car automotive kind of. Man, look how far these lean over. This one broke off, so I just changed it. I mean, I know they want him to be thrusting away, but it is really leaning over. Thankfully, these are not that bad, but they definitely do the same. So. I definitely need to I have pulled the main box out, so I have to put those miniatures back. So let's paint this base. You know, I think, did I do this one? Nope, that one hasn't been done either. Has Captain America been done? Looks like it, but it doesn't have the clear, it's weird. So let's see if one of these is dry. So you see, I don't know if you can see the amount of sheen this has, but then compare it to the matte. The black is very, very flat. And I'm using the Pro Acryl black. I know that they do things like change the intensity of the black, you know, the sheen of it a little bit to help push the color intensity. So I'm not really sure what the best results are there. think I need more black than I thought I needed. I know that some paints actually come out of the bottle thinned pretty well. This might be too thin. I mean, this didn't come out of the bottle like this. I just thinned it. But I do feel you basically, yeah, this is too thin. One more drop of the black. Just wipe that off because it will be frustrating. There's the black. I did go to a, Sebastian's really into LPs and Lego, which I'm into Lego too. But I went to a shop that was in Cologne that was Lego and records and CDs and DVDs and stuff. It was funny. It's all, you know, the person buying that stuff. Wow, there's a hair there. But it was pretty cool. We saw some kid selling his Lego stuff off. We had this weekend did a pretty big cull, but not really large enough, but pulled out 300 pounds of games, which is just terrifying, like if we move ever. I can't even imagine how much stuff it would be. We have so many games. But that was interesting to like really do that much. We had moved a good amount, probably that amount almost once before, when we were sending stuff to the BG library after the, you know, we had the conventions here in our, we did the streaming in our house here at the studio. And so we had a ton of games that were sent to us for Comic-Con and Gen Con and Spiel. Boy, I really didn't paint a lot of these. So we really need to think about, I mean, my biggest problem is I almost all, I mean, many games I've gotten rid of, I bought back. I actually sent something to the library the last time we sent stuff, and I said, please put that aside for me. Before it even got, you know, basically before I even got there, I'm like, I want to keep that one. I don't know. I was buying some from a friend I had mentioned on the stream on Tuesday that I bought I had to buy the Thunder Road Vendetta from a local friend who was selling it at a SoCal Games Day, and he had a bunch of stuff that he was putting on to get rid of. And so I asked for that and Eldritch Horror, his Eldritch Horror set, which was a lot of stuff. And I said, he wrote me back, he's like, you know what, I don't want to get rid of the Eldritch Horror. I'm like, that's fine, I understand. I'm like, but if you ever think to sell it again, let me know. It was fine. It's a friend. I did buy it through the BGG Geekless for that convention, for that event. So we have SoCal Games Day, and Dave runs that event with our friend Stephanie and Chris Johnson. And there's often, a virtual flea market to get rid of games beforehand. And I try not to look at those things, but we had been waiting for, I'm very happy because that ended up being our season final episode for last season for the Thunder Road. But I'm really glad we did that one. Gosh, it really does look better. It still has a little splotchiness as far as to the sheen, but then maybe the matte finish afterwards will really fix it up. I don't really know what the makeup of the acrylic, hey, Circe. I don't know what the makeup of the the medium for contrast medium. I know it's an acrylic, but I don't know what they do to change it up to do what they need it to do. I really want to paint these blades, but they're not ready yet. Ugh, stuff sticking. I need to clean the mat. My painting mat is really kind of, I need to probably put a little bit of alcohol into it and clean it up. Okay, do I have any others? What did I do first? Probably the Punisher. So I will put on some of this again for this one. Did I get Captain America done? Yeah, let me do this one first since it's been weeks and weeks and weeks since I painted it. Let's make sure I don't have any paint on my finger. A lot of paint on my finger, but nothing wet. Beatles Love ends in Vegas, I think, next weekend. Not this coming, but the following weekend. And I keep thinking, I'm sure it's sold out now, but I keep thinking we should go just to see it one more time. It was a really great show. It was I really love the Beatles, so the music was great, but it was a really great show, and I'm sad that they couldn't move it. The theater was a purpose built for that show. And so, the bulk of the action takes place in the middle of the theater. But it was truly a great show. When we were, one of the earliest times we went to Vegas with Scott and Michelle for Thanksgiving, they were like, you have to go see that show. And I wanted to go see it. I'm a Beatle fan, but I wasn't really like chomping at the bit. I wasn't, it's Cirque du Soleil. I have some mixed feelings about this. It's fine stuff, but it's just not necessarily for me. But we went, and holy cow, was it great. Now we've seen it several times. I'm really sad that it's leaving. but they sold the hotel to Hard Rock, and Hard Rock is owned by a different company, so they don't need it, because Cirque has a deal, I think, with MGM, and so that show's gone. It's 19 years. Hey, thanks for the follow, Rural Britonia. I think it's for it was for 19 years, which is a long time, but I don't know. It really is a bummer. It was such a great show. We went, I think when we went, I cannot remember. I feel like we went one more time when Nikki and I were there on our own, but I don't know why we'd have been there on our own. I'm not a really big Vegas fan. But it had already, maybe it was when we saw it with my mom. That's probably what it was. So we told my mom it was a good show, and we took her to go see it when we were there. And the costumes had been a little less exciting. They had more standard look to them all. They wear them and wear them and wear them several days a week, 5 days, 6 days a week. And so they were just a mess, and it was a bummer. But it's still, the show itself was fine. These were just the theater people that were doing concessions, and the ushers and all that stuff. It was not as exciting and colorful. It was all blue. I'm doing it on the front again. Quit doing that. So ultimately, it was probably okay for it to be over. Supposedly Olivia Harrison went to go see it a couple times just recently. So it was George Harrison that actually had that relationship with the guy from Cirque, and they talked about doing a show. And it didn't get done before George passed away. But all the living Beatles and the wives and children had some say on it, and it turned out really neat. Plus, they did a really neat job on the music. So there's an Australian guy who does deep dives on like Beatles and the Beach Boys, and I don't know if I've seen any others. He did talk about a band that Nikki and I really like called the Lemon Twigs recently, when on the release of their fourth album, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, this is their fifth album. But I think they have more than that, actually. This is their fifth, like, officially released album, I believe. Is this going to fall off? Anyway, he was going to come see it. He came here in 2013 to Southern California, to the United States, and he couldn't afford to go that time, and so his plan was to go to Vegas and see it when he was here this time in like September, and it is gone. It will be gone. So it is truly a bummer. He said that was the record, the Love record was what got him into, really into the Beatles. So it's a bummer. When's the last time we took a road trip? Well, let me think about that. We went to, we did a road trip in a day, went all the way up to Northern California, or just above Central, it's basically, we were just near Santa Cruz. I'm doing it again. I'm not going to do that. And we bought something and returned that same day. It was a trek, but we hadn't gone really that way in a very long time. We used to go to Santa Barbara occasionally and stay the weekend or something like that. We haven't done that in ages. And so a lot of stuff had changed, just, like the development and stuff like that. So that was fun. But the last, I think, true driving, that's not true. We went to, Scott, Nikki, and I went to, I did all the driving, but we went to Niagara Falls, I think in 2021, because Scott did not want to fly. We flew to Dallas, but we went from Texas to Dallas to Niagara Falls and back, you know, in like it was not a really great, I mean, now that I think about it, almost every one of our road trips of the last 15 years has been there and back kind of a thing, where we don't see a lot of stuff on the side. So the other time before that, before the trip to Niagara, is we went to Dallas, and then I bought one of Scott's cars. Well, Scott's car, he does not have a car now, from him. This is in 2017, and drove it home, and I had to get back to work, so we did it in 2 days, and I was, you know, both Nikki and I were wishing we had done one more day, so that it would have been a little bit, because, you know, he was Texas, so we went through New Mexico and Arizona. See, I went a little too far, and it tore the film of the other stuff I've already painted, so it's weird because it's dry beyond that, so I might have had too much paint at that start. But yeah, that's, wow, it really dries fast. And I actually don't mind road trips. I do want to see things, you know. I have like, I'm a nerd and want to go see the sights. Dave's group, that's what they do. He would be on that trip now. I think they're wrapping it up this weekend. I think that's correct. Yeah, he would have been gone this week. He was going to come back on the 29th. So they fly someplace and they go see museums and, well, it used to be roller coasters exclusively. Well, that may be not true, but mostly. And then they started to go to more museums and stuff like that. And I'm sad because he was going to see some new amusement park that was still hanging in there because it opened either just before or during the pandemic. And he was excited to see that. So yeah, that's kind of a fun trip. And they do go and see, I mean, they were going to supposedly see a bunch of the world's biggest, you know, shoe and things like that. I don't know if that was one of them, but things that were probably, he said some things are legitimately the world's largest whatever, and then some were just fiberglass sculptures, you know. There was a DJ here in Southern California that was notorious for going to do those types of things, the world's largest ball of twine and stuff. He moved to the UK. I think he was born there. So he still comes to the States every so often, but I follow him on Twitter. X. But yeah, it's been a long time since we've done a true, like, let's go see things trip. Nikki and I have really not done a ton of that. We've done some trips. We used to go to Northern California occasionally, once a year. Boy, I think that one's done. It looks too good, so I better not touch it. We had friends that we would go visit up north. And I think the last trip we took up there was we flew for a wedding and then flew back maybe that day. One of those things. Once I started to get like a serious job, I couldn't really, it was hard for me to actually be able to take time away. Once I was able to finally work remotely, it was a little better. We also did, you know, we drove up to Reno for Gamma Trade Show. We drove to Vegas for Gamma Trade Show. Those were great trips. We took Scott one time, you know, he's not a big road traveler, and he was knocked out at how beautiful it was going up through the Sierras to get to Reno. That's the route we took. I think on the way there we took that route, and then on the way back we took the 5, which is very busy for you. So we went through, we were going to go, actually that's not true. We were going to come back that way, and there was a snowstorm in March or April, and so we had to take a different route. We actually went south. It was crazy. But we were gonna try to see my brother on the way up. I'm doing it again. We were gonna try to see my brother on the way up, but we ended up getting started late, I think, and it took more time. So that was another trip. We did that one twice, I guess. Gosh, that just doesn't seem right. And we ran out of time, so we had to, I guess it was 2017, 2018. Or 2018, 2019, probably more likely. And that was a bummer. I would have liked to see my brother. I have not seen my brother in many, many years. But I have fun doing those kind of. I mean, you know, we've traveled to Europe, and I did the driving. That was fun. We drove from, the craziest one was we drove from Prague into Germany, and we also took Copenhagen into Germany. We just wanted to see some other things, so we had to take a ferry to get to Europe proper, and that was interesting. You know, we loaded the car up, rented a car from a German rental company, and dropped it off at Essen, and that was cool. We went to Hamburg on that trip, I think, and then besides Copenhagen, and then I feel like when we went to, that may not be right. And we also did a road trip in Europe in 2022 when we went to go see the Kraftwerk in Deichen. We took a week or long 5 days or something like that. And we went to Erfurt, which is a town that I guess Eric Lang's grandmother lived in, and he had been there. And then we went to Dresden, and we went to the border, right at the border, and I can't remember the name of the town. I don't think it was, no, it wasn't Dresden, because we stayed in Dresden. It was on the border with Poland, and we walked over into Poland and had something to eat and looked around. So that was fun. Went to see some things that Nikki wanted to go see, and you know, sites, and it was all cool. Gosh, it's so weird. So we have done some. That was 2 years ago. And that's legit. I didn't do any driving on that trip. Annie and Sebastian did the driving. We also went to a town that's a college town that had a really fantastic game store. And it's about an hour and something away from Cologne or Bonn. But it was cool. As a matter of fact, I bought these. I don't think I bought these. I bought some Chaos box with Sebastian. We split it. I should have bought the whole darn thing because I would like to have some of the more recent Eldar, or Eldari as they're called, because I have a lot of Eldar. But I took the Chaos because I had no Chaos. And I left him with the books because it was all in German. It wasn't going to do me any good. But it was a really good deal, so it was fun. Wow, too much paint. Boo. We were going to go see Annie and Sebastian theoretically again in October. And they're like, oh, we can't go traveling. And I'm like, you know, we don't mind not traveling because we want to see them. And their daughter's just turned 1. So be cool to see her. We actually think that they make any mistakes driving over there. Okay, so my biggest mistake ever in driving in Europe was I was there for the summer. I was going to school in, at Worcester in Oxford to study architecture. And my parents came at the end of my trip. And they wanted to go see some things, and I took them to see some of the things I studied in when I was at school. And then, but I had been the one that was there, so I had a little bit more understanding of traveling there, but I did not drive. And, well, there's 2 things. I got another fun story to tell you, which I don't think was a mistake, but it was weird. We were at a car rental place. I swear, I think it was budget. But I told my dad, I'm like, you really should get the insurance, because who wants to deal with this stuff overseas? You know, this was in the early 90s. And so we get the car, we're leaving. It's in Kensington. It's like right on a very busy street that never lets up. And we're trying to get out, and there's never a let up. It was so nonstop. And so no street light, nothing, and we waited a long time. And so we backed up and tried to shift the angle of the car to get into the traffic, and hit a bollard that was below the sight line of the right-hand side of the car. Excuse me. It had to be on the other side of the car, so it was on the left-hand side of the car, because I was on the opposite side of where I was driving. And so I dented the door, and it was a new car. Like, it had less than 6,000 kilometers on it, maybe. And I'm like, should we go back? And Dad's like, no. And so people looking at us this whole time. We have this brand new Peugeot with a big dent on the door. And so my dad was, when we were, I guess we were vacuuming it up. I don't remember why, if we had made a mess in there. But my dad asked the guy at the place we were getting a vacuum before we returned the car, like, you know, the day before we returned it. He's like, is the vacuum strong enough to suck the dent out of that door? That was funny. And so that was exciting. The other one was, it wasn't necessarily a mistake, but when we went to Prague, first thing we did is we rented a car. I said we rented a Sixt car, and we rented it at the main train station. And Scott and I go to pick it up, and Nikki and Michelle are getting ready and to leave. We get out of Prague. Well, the crazy thing was we couldn't get the car out of the parking structure. I said to Scott, I'm like, I'm not doing this, because we tried to take a corner, and it wasn't happening. So, and people were backing up behind us. So we pulled it and backed it into a space. Miracle, because we were going through like a tight right angle U, you know, it wasn't like a smooth turn, and there was a lot of HVAC, and I'm like, we're gonna hit that. So we go back to the desk. We're like, hey, we're not getting that car out of there. You guys have to get it out of there. And because it was very low ceiling parking structure at the train station. And so they come back like 45 minutes later and they're like, yeah. I go, how'd you guys do that? And they're like, I don't even know. And so that was the start of that day. And then a little bit later, well, a couple weird things. We go to, we're driving and we get pulled over. It's a red car that doesn't look like it's a police car, and they have lights, and so we get over like kind of nervous. They take our passports, and you know, we have German plates on the car. And we talked to some of our friends, or Czech friends afterwards, and they said, well, what they generally do is they pick German plate cars hoping that they don't have passports so that they can get them to bribe them. And so we had everything. And ultimately they were like, did we, you know, is everything okay? And they're like, you're good, go. And so we didn't really, you know, we were kind of nervous and wondering what was gonna happen. But we didn't get a ticket or anything. I mean, I was potentially going over the speed limit slightly. I was not going that fast. Again, I'm in kilometers, so I pretty much feel like I, you know, was following everything over there. I'm too nervous to really speed for something like that. So there was that. Then we're going to Berlin. We get to Berlin, and here's the thing, it was a big minivan. It's a Ford Transport, I think is what they call them. No, I think those are small. Maybe it's that though. But it was like the biggest one I've ever seen. Plus, I've seen them here. After we got back, I sent a picture to Scott of the exact same size, like for a high school sports team or something like that, driving, that was in our neighborhood. And we go into Berlin, and nothing bad happened, but I don't drive stick all the time. I do drive it enough, and my car is a stick. But it's a big stick diesel, and we're in hills, and we are in traffic, and I'm dealing with like going up hills and worrying about drifting back. And I mean, it was a miracle we got to the hotel. And I just don't like renting big vehicles. I'm not accustomed to them. I've had the biggest troubles I've ever had in driving vans, or SUVs. I just don't like them. But sometimes you need them. And I don't mind minivans, those are fine. But man, pickup trucks are not fun. I mean, not pickup trucks. I've never really driven a pickup truck, but vans and larger SUVs. Oh, the music volume decreased? Oh, bummer. Anyway, so yeah, it was just an interesting trip. I wonder why my audio dropped. Shouldn't have. But let's see here. Go to the mixer. It might be. I don't change the. I don't save the settings because I prefer it to. Boy, this is hard. Anyway, but yeah, it was fun. It was, you know, and I actually don't mind driving at all, but I definitely have a little bit of a fear with the big vehicles. But it was cool. Plus, Berlin was neat. I can't remember, Scott and Michelle, we ate at some place. Oh, no, they went to eat someplace. I think we ate there later, maybe, but Nikki and I had been told to go to this one currywurst place. And I think it's a chain in Berlin. And so that's what we wanted to do. And so Scott and Michelle went to a nice Italian restaurant, and we went to a curry place. But it was pretty good, and we ended up going there again with Scott and Michelle. But yeah, that was funny. Forgot about that. We did the same thing in Nikki did research before we went to the UK the first time, and we went to a cemetery. Nikki really wanted to go to an old cemetery, and Scott's like, yeah, and Michelle, you know, they're not into that. But then we come back with all the photos, and he's like, wow, we should have gone. I'm like, oh, it was really cool. You know, it was in a neighborhood, and it was old, and the cemetery was pretty darn full. There were still newer tombstones, but I can't imagine they had them like set up like dominoes and stuff like that, these small tombstones. It was crazy. That That was cool. Nikki and her former gothic self. I don't know what they did. They've done some fun stuff. We didn't go with them, but they went to a culinary tour in Paris, I think. And that sounds exciting. I couldn't eat that much. Now I don't imagine it's, I mean, you do a lot of walking, but I find that I can't eat as much when I'm traveling. Well, I think it's not that. I think I just don't eat a ton at home. Okay. What do we got here? That one's done. I should move the ones that are done to the back so that they can be varnished. Was this the one that had the little splotches on it? Yeah, this is I really should do this more while I'm painting, so I don't have so many to do and keep track of what I've done. Oh, that's right, this one's not done yet. I'm closing this up. Why am I closing it up? I'm not done. But part of the Hamburg trip was to go to the miniature Wonderland. Oh my gosh, I want to go again. I was driving them crazy because I just wanted to stay there and keep looking. So miniature Wonderland is a giant train set thing. It's not just trains, but it is literally, that's kind of what it started out as. So you have these different lands, you know, you'd be in, they had a North American one that they were putting in when we were there, I think. And then they have the town Nifingen, which is the fake town that they have. But then they have like the Swiss Alps, and it's like all kinds of things. And the way they do it is you have really not that many trains. There are definitely train stuff going through there and subways and, you know, but they also have vehicles. So like if you watch it, it's choreographed, and I think it's pretty randomized, but like while you're watching, there could be a fire in a building, and so they have these lighted up effects in the buildings, and then a fire company will come and put out the fire, and it's all this automated stuff. It's amazing. And the one that I was dying to see was the airport, and it was phenomenal. They have planes take off and land and then taxi to the gate, and vehicles come up and load it, you know, take the, you know, you don't see any luggage moving, but to take the luggage to do the catering. It was amazing. I really could have been there a couple hours longer. Friends of ours, Catherine Rosland was one of our hosts, and she and her husband were there while we were there. They're from Norway. Is that right? Or I think they're from Finland. Whoa. This is why I don't like paint like that. They stick. Wow, he got caught on that. That looks done. That looks done. But yeah, it was awesome. I really want to go to that again someday. It's not really that close to, you know, it's a good chunk of hours. So we left, I don't remember what time we left that day, but it was a long time for us to get to Bonn for dinner. And that was terrible because people were waiting for us. But the biggest challenge, I think, on all the travel is just the road construction. In Germany, there's plenty of it there going on, and when we're in the heartland of the U.S., just a tremendous amount of road work. You know, it's summertime when they really can do it, sort of. But it's fun. When we did that, we stayed, the trip to Niagara Falls, we stayed in Memphis and Cincinnati, I think. And then that was interesting too, because Cincinnati has like 2 stadiums. And I think both stadiums had something going on, if I recall correctly. It was crazy. Might have been a concert. Okay, well, they're all, well, no, that one's not. I wonder how the debate's going. Probably not great. One of the fun things when we went to Erfurt is the TV station, the TV network that has, I'm not even sure what that network is, but there's a show that we like to see that was only in the evenings. I mean, it's a kid's show normally, but in the evenings they do this weird version of Baron das Brot. And our favorite one was where he is nerd. It's like some nerd culture one thing that was, you know, board games and D&D and anime and Harry Potter and Star Trek. And but anyway, they filmed that there, I guess, and they had a giant Baron das Brot bronze statue. It was great for nerds like Nikki and I. But it turns out they haven't made them in a long time. There was one recently. There was like Baron was floating in space and satellites were coming by or something. I can't remember. But yeah, they don't. I thought for sure the Harry Potter one had been recent, but it was quite a few years before. I don't know if they do the regular kids show. They probably do. But you know what? I opened up this drawer beneath me to put the airbrushes away. And I'm going to do that. Okay, well, I think I'm going to not put any varnish. We might do something, but I don't think anything's going to be dry enough. Too many things have painted the base, and I like the varnish to dry, the paint to dry a long time before I put the varnish on. So this goes here, maybe? It's been so long since I put these things away in here. Just put that there. No, can't go there. That will go here, maybe. But I have far too many. They have new airbrushes all the time, and I'm like, oh, we should get that. I really don't need it. I really think that belongs there. I have so many airbrushes. Oh, it has to go in there because it does not fit. Okay. Wow, I thought that would fit there. It's my very first airbrush. Well, I have room for more. Uh-oh, no, I really don't. I have 2 more that are not in here. The most recent, for me, is the Ultra Harder and Steenbeck, and then also this one from the gallery has a bunch of new ones that are pretty cool. And this is, I don't really know their range. They had like a special a few weeks back, and I contemplated trying to buy one of the other ones, and I just thought, you know, I really don't need it. There's not that much difference for me. So I did not buy it. But they had a special on the 2 airbrushes that was a pretty good deal, and it was kind of cool. One of them is a trigger kind of airbrush, which I don't have. And I contemplated it, but thankfully it sold out before I really had a chance to make my mind up. So yeah, I'm going to airbrush Luke Cage, and I'll paint him next Tuesday. I'm going to just lighten it up a bit. Let's see here. These things in my ears. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to clean some of these. You can see some of how that works. I'm not necessarily the best, but like you can maybe see it here. There's a mold line right here, and you can kind of see it. And the downer is when you paint, that mold line will become very prominent. So I have a tool. This one's an older one that actually is pretty good. It's not really what I need. Although I will say, I'm less likely to poke myself with this one. Generally what I use is a somewhat weaker blade. And because I'm just scraping. Have I been to any Canadian cities? Yes, I have, Circe. So Nikki and I went to, on our honeymoon, 20 years ago. Is that right? No. Yeah, it was, no, next year. 19 years ago. We took our trip, we went to, started in Chicago, which we only meant to be there a few days, but we missed some things we'd really like to see, and now we want to go back and do some other stuff too. But while we were planning, they had announced that, not they announced, that they do, it was summertime, June, and they did a Formula One race in Montreal, and they're like, avoid Montreal. And so we flipped the trip. Instead of going into Canada first, we went to Pittsburgh and stayed in Pittsburgh. And it was amazing. Pittsburgh was really cool. What happened was I said to Nikki, I'm like, do you want to go to Falling Water, which is a Frank Lloyd Wright house, that's famous one that's built on a waterfall. And so the way I booked it is we went to the very first tour, which is take as much time as you want. You can take as many pictures as you want. We're going to wait for you in the next room. So everybody is of the understanding that that's how it's going to work. And so it had just rained, and so it was really, the forest was really pretty and drops and stuff. And then the river was going pretty strong. And so, pouring underneath the house. It was really amazing. I had been there once before. My father was really into art. So I was going to study to be an architect. Actually, I was going to study to be an engineer. And my dad had actually studied to be an architect, and he got wrapped up in music. And I went and studied design and ended up started to doing architecture as well, and worked. I never got licensed as an architect, but I worked as an architect essentially for a couple places. And then you know, I was working with an architect, so several architects, so it was not. They would just review the stuff, and then we would submit them for building apartments, stuff like that. But so yeah, that was fun, and we went to see that. We went to go see the Andy Warhol Museum, which was really cool. Then I think we left from there early after the falling water, and we made a beeline for Quebec City. We were going to stay at the big hotel that's on the point there that's like a castle. It was amazing. And so we got there. I feel like that this isn't quite right. There had to be more. I guess maybe because we did Chicago first. So we were there for a few days. So the deal was we needed to do laundry. And we get through and we're going through, it's late. I think we started too late. And we're essentially going through Montreal with all the craziness going on. And we thought we would find a place to stay. And there was like a movie production going on in the one town. You know, this is just like winging it, which I normally don't like to do. And there was a good reason why, because we couldn't get a place to stay. But we did get to town, and we just were able to check in a day early at the hotel in Quebec City, and we had a fantastic time there. I had been there once before as well, as a young guy, with my family and my grandmother. It was pretty cool. And never had stayed at that hotel before, but it was awesome. And because we got in there early, we actually got a better room, like in the, you know, the turret shape of the tower there, which was awesome. And then so we were there for 2 days, and a day and a half essentially, really. And then we went to Montreal after the race, and we stayed kind of in the museum area. They had a we went to a bunch of museums there. We went to a bunch of museums in Quebec City as well. And it was great. The whole thing was just great. And we stayed in this interesting area in Montreal that had it was a bed and breakfast that was essentially a neighborhood where all of the buildings had been converted into like hotel rooms. So each house was split into like 1, 2, or 3 or something like that hotel rooms, and we got a really nice hotel room, and each one of them was decorated differently. So this one had, you know, custom art that was specific for that. Now we looked at the pictures and all that stuff well before we went. Thank goodness for the internet. And so we got a really great room, and what was really amazing is Nikki was in love with the breakfast every morning. They had really great stuff that they made, and Nikki fell in love with their Eggs Benedict. So every day we were there, we made sure we got that. And then after that, we went to Toronto, which I don't think I'd ever been to Toronto before that. And that was great. I can't remember where we stayed. I feel like we stayed at like the International there or something like that, if that chain even exists anymore. And it was cool. We had a great time there. More museums. Went to the one museum that we were excited to see. We did not realize that they were undergoing a massive remodel with Frank Gehry doing and that was, gosh, that's a long time ago then. So that place is long done. But what happened was we get there, and they basically like had a greatest hits gallery because they couldn't afford to close the museum down. And so we paid full price, whatever that was. And paid full price and saw like, 50 items or something like that, maybe. But it was still cool. Some things that we wanted to see were in there. They had like literally like people voted for what things that would be in there. And then we went back to Chicago. So it was fun. And I've been to Victoria for a day. not really seeing much there. Twice, actually. I've been there a couple times. And then that's it. I would love to go. There's more places I'd like to go in Canada. I would really like to go to Vancouver. My family went. I didn't go. I was in college, and so it was my family and my other grandmother went, and I really was bummed. I stayed because I had some exams, one of which I had blown the curve so bad in the class that people were kind of peeved at me. So I probably could have missed an entire test. But it was great. I would have loved to have done that, though. We did several trips like that, because I think that was because of my dad's work. And so we also went to Hawaii for one of those types of deals, I think with my grandmother also at that one. But yeah, I'd like to go to Banff, and my friend just went to Banff recently, he and his wife. And gosh, they were probably going maybe for their 30th anniversary. Where do you live? Are you in Canada, Circe, if you're still there? We actually kind of want to go to, there's a convention a friend of ours runs in Canada called CharCon? That doesn't sound right. In Calgary, I believe. It would be fun to go to sometime. It's the timing of all these other conventions. There's so many conventions now. Although we aren't going to as many as we used to, so who knows. But it'd be fun to go to one in Canada. Yeah, these minis are not great as far, they do an okay job, but the plastic I think is really the biggest, and this is, I mean, I've said it many times, this is the older plastic that they were using. They're using a newer plastic that might be slightly harder. These aren't terrible, but I can't wait to do more of the, I mean, I've done them. All the Spider-Man ones are that, and then I did the X-Men ones. But I have not done many of those. Oh, you're in Denver. That's right, Circe. Where I grew up. I love Colorado too. You got to go to the and try to get in to the remodeled Casa Bonita. I've heard that there's like 600,000 people on the waiting list. I mean, we've met Trey and we know him a little bit. Like, could we get in there? I mean, I would love to go. From when I was very little, very young. They had opened it, I think, a year. My mom says we moved in 76. I don't think that's true. But I mean, I was young, so what do I know? But I thought we moved in like 75 or something like that. But anyway. I mean, I remember being in Southern California for the bicentennial, so I don't know. Anyway. We love that place. I can see why it holds a place in their hearts. I think it's funny that they spent $40 million, what am I talking about? Million, to remodel it. Like it was just falling apart. They used to have one in Oklahoma too, but I would like to, I don't know, I would like to go there. I mean, I'm sure the food's not amazing. We've tried, the wait list is for 13 months. Okay, wow. Yeah, I want to go. Maybe I'll let you know if we go. The problem is, I have family in that's right, we were talking about Littleton and all that stuff. I have family in another terrible location there that had the shootings. Man, I don't remember the Alameda? No, that's not right. And that was like the Batman movie ones. And I'd like to go see my aunt. I haven't seen her in many years. But it's just, I mean, I need to go see my other aunt. I need to actually just spend some time in the heartland there and visit some folks that are still around. It's really kind of awful. My Aunt Pam comes here often, but I haven't been to her place in 20 years. Well, no, that's not true. Probably less time than that, but it's been a long time. We went, I don't remember why I was there. Aurora, yeah. Boy, is it really Aurora? Was that? What was that? That's exactly where my aunt used to live, but I didn't remember it as being Aurora. Anyway, when I was young, that's where my other aunt lived. Anyway, but I don't remember exactly why I was there in Kansas. It might have been, I actually had to do some work. I worked for, I did a side job. Why was I doing a side job? I guess it was when I was in school, so that makes sense. But I went and did some on-site stuff for a couple of projects in that area, Kansas City, Oklahoma City. And so I went and did some stuff there. And so I might have visited her then. Didn't seem right. When I did that, though, was before I was into the board game stuff. That was like 2000. Wow. So it was when I was in school. Actually, funny, I saw an article about the Mayan Theater here in LA, which I've never been to, I don't think. Yeah, I want to go to the Mayan too. That one, it's so funny. That one has a very, very vivid, the one in Denver, because I think I told the story that I had seen like a movie when I was, must have seen a lot of movies when we were young there. It's very, very vivid. What time is it? Oh, almost 7:30. I got a little bit more time. Aurora. But I was pretty young when we moved. And I really missed, when we were, I really loved coming to California. It was awesome. You know, we moved to the beach, and that was cool. But, gosh, I think about that stuff. I was surfing and all kinds of crazy stuff really fast. My parents certainly were not like helicopter parents. I don't think that even existed at that time. And it was an interesting place that we lived. We moved to this location to run my mom, basically for my mom to run an apartment complex that was massive. And my dad was busy doing his stuff, but he would help. And so we were not far from the airport, LAX. And so we'd see, you know, we kind of got to know flight attendants and pilots and stuff like that. but we were not in that building. So they actually had multiple buildings. That one actually had, was adults only, you know, like, because they don't want kids running around because they're all trying to sleep crazy hours. So we were in the other building, family building. But we were all over the place because you could go to them. We just couldn't live in that one. But yeah, that was a long time ago. We go past that every so often. But we became Valley kids not too much longer after that. I remember my brother skateboarding and breaking his arm in when we were young. He was always the crazy one anyway. I mean, I don't even remember, like, I was the one skating pipes and stuff like that and going to the skate parks, but he somehow hurt himself, and he was definitely probably a better skater than me. And but I wasn't afraid, but neither was he. But I think I just got lucky, because I've never broken a limb, at least yet, knock on wood. But he has broken his arm, at least. Can't even remember, but he would mountain bike and just be insane. And I was like, you know, people hike these trails, Chris. So I was always, I guess, the prudent one. I don't know. Aurora. Wow. For whatever reason, I didn't remember as being that. I guess it's been so long ago. It wasn't that long ago, though. It's crazy, though, the Columbine shootings happened when my brother was supposed to be on a TV show. He's a musician, but he's also does other stuff. But he was doing production and stuff, and he was in a band with a friend of ours. And they were sort of they were basically the backing guys and the recording studio guys for a guy named Leif Garrett, who, when I was really young, was an actor. And I don't know if he's done any acting. I mean, I don't even know what's going on with him. He's had tons of problems. But they were in New York to be on the Rosie O'Donnell show. Good God, I forgot about that show. And I think it kind of it happened in, you could see it in New York, East Coast, but we didn't get to see it. Like, the news just was all about the shooting. And so I had to see it later. I think maybe we got it from somebody or something like that. But so that was a bummer. I mean, in a mess. But he did a lot. I was thinking about it the other day. He went to Japan before me, because he went for I think with Leif, and did some stuff there. Because I was like, I've only been to Japan once. I really want to go back. We had a great time, and I was saving things to do for when Nikki and I went, and we were going to go in 2020, and that did not happen. One of the things I like about the other plastic is that you get like GW. I have some flashing, you know, it's like I'm not doing a great job with that file. And I have like a little bit of residue. And it doesn't clean off that easily. You kind of have to cut it off. It's not, you can't scrape it off that easily on this plastic. But if I was using the GW plastic, I can use liquid glues like these, and it would just smooth it out, these extra thin cements. And I can't, quick setting, one of them is a little slower, I think, but you know, they make the sprue goo out of that stuff, so you put pieces of the shaved, any Cinerama stories. Again, the ones I remember the Continental, and I remember the Century 21 or whatever in Colorado, in Denver. And I think I might have mentioned this when we talked about it before. I went to go see the Black Cauldron at Century 21 one time when we were visiting. So that would have been the 80s. But mostly my Cinerama stories are here, and it's still closed here. It's a bummer. I hope it, I mean, the building's not going to go away, but I hope a chain, I think somebody's picking it up, maybe Regal or something, I don't know. But it's a bummer because that was the ArcLight, it became the ArcLight theaters, which I think Pacific owned the Cinerama Dome for a long time, and then the ArcLights came in, which was a sub-branch, you know, like a crazy theater nerd people, movie theater nerd people to go see it, where they did an introduction and it was quiet, and, you know, I only ever saw a few things there. I mostly went to the Cinerama Dome, which did the same thing, but it wasn't quite the same experience. But, you know, Cinerama kind of, actually did see some Cinerama movies. I went to see How the West Was Won, which is truly Cinerama. I don't know if I saw It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World there. I feel like I might have when I was pretty young. When I was in college, every weekend my friends and I would go see movies, and that was one of the things, that was actually one of the great things about the Cinerama Dome, is they would have, when there wasn't anything, you know, they didn't have like as crazy of a release schedule in the 80s, and then it started to get, by the 90s it was kind of falling apart there. Not completely, because we went to try to go see movies there and stuff. But what really happened is they started cutting the theaters and stuff like that, so it was a bummer. There was a place called the Avco, is that right? Avco. And they split the main theater that was the big one in half and didn't realign the seats. It was really kind of rude. And so we stopped going there. And then in the early 2000s sometime, they closed. I don't know when, wouldn't have been too early. I think that the theater was already closed, but when Zodiac was filmed, they filmed in the National down there. That was awesome. And now it was just a hole the last time we were there, but I'm sure something's finally moved in and built in there. But yeah, that was a cool theater. Very vivid memories going to see stuff there, particularly Raiders of the Lost Ark. Because I was a movie kid, but I didn't know that stuff. I didn't really have any access to those kinds of things. But I remember going into the theater. My parents were taking us, and I saw who made the movie, and I was like doubly excited, more than doubly excited probably. And so that was really awesome. But yeah, I used to go see, like, they would bring back Raiders and 2001 to the Cinerama here in SoCal. I don't know if it was the first Cinerama, but it absolutely wasn't, I don't think, because it basically, Cinerama as a format folded by that time that theater was done. So I don't know where the other theaters were at, because I think that was, I can't remember if that was Michael Todd or somebody like that was part of that, because he did Todd AO. Probably not. But yeah, I think by the time the theater opened, they put in It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World, and that's not actually Cinerama. It was just Ultra Panavision 70. Nerdy stuff. Yeah, the dome is awesome. I wish that it was, so the last thing I saw there was 2017. I went to go see Blade Runner 2049. We wanted to see it in 3D. And it was not playing in 3D. So we bought tickets for the Chinese. 3D was already dead, basically. But we bought tickets for the Chinese thinking it was going to be in 3D, and it was not. So we knew this before we went, so they were allowed, it was pretty interesting. They would allow you to change your tickets. I think we had a small fee. It wasn't terrible. So we changed it to the Cinerama, and it just wasn't great. The dome. I don't know. It was, so they had, I think at that point they had painted it black and put black drapes up. So you didn't really see, because it was a 60s, big deal movie theater. So they had from my recollection, like golden drapes and stuff like that. So it was a much more 60s vibe. And, when they were doing this, it was a more movie theater thing, right? They were darkening it up. But it was just, the issue was that screen has got such a bend, and we were trying to watch a 3D movie, which needs, I believe, to really have a pretty flat, or, much shallower curve. And so that was unfortunate. And it was fine, but it wasn't great. Like, I think Nikki's always nice because she knows I'm a spaz for the technical stuff, but we still fight it out sometimes. But I think I ended up having the slightly better seat. But they had like a hot spot because it was digital. It was a different kind of projector. So they have I think they do a better job with it with IMAX on the 3D stuff, because it's two well, not all of them, but that one, the Chinese, it's two projectors projecting the images. So it was just not perfect. And we actually went to, we saw it because we had to see it before we went to Germany, because we figured it wouldn't be there by the time we got back. And it was actually playing in London at Leicester Square in IMAX 3D. And we thought about going, but we were staying at the airport, so we weren't really close because we were flying out. I think Michelle had to go home because she had something to do, I don't remember, performance stuff, reviews, or some year-end financial stuff, or something, like budgeting. So she had to go, but as I recall, I guess that was the year. And so we left the next day, and we went to the airport with her, and then went on our way to Germany, and which is never ideal. Nikki had to leave one time, and she left, and it's terrible, right? I don't want her to have to go, in a foreign country and try to figure out how to get out of there. Because both Nikki and Michelle, it's hard, right? You get nervous and you start to stress out. Believe me, I've had my share getting nervous on international travel. But because when I was leaving, last time, I think 2019, that seems, maybe it was 2019, Nikki went to go to Paris, and I left, and I was flying out of Nice. This was when we went to Cannes, FIJ, and a storm was coming. And so I needed to get out of there, or I would have been stuck. Gosh, I feel like that was before. Why would I have left? I had to be coming back to work, so it was probably 2017. That sounds about right. No, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so she got to Paris, and it was like, she got out of Paris, she got out of Nice just in time because many people got stuck. There was a tremendous snowstorm, and a lot of people got stuck, so it was a weird trip all the way around, but she was at least traveling with folks on the train because the publisher she was working with. And, but yeah, I was really nervous that trip. But anyway, so yeah, we just couldn't get the reasoning to go into London to go see that movie, as much as I would have loved to have seen it in 3D there. Because, it's funny. I was really not a proponent of 3D movies until I saw Force Awakens at the Chinese. It was, it was, the theater had been remodeled, I believe, the year before. And it was shockingly well done. And I wonder if it's still the TLC. They branded it. I don't know, there was a... Ghost has a concert, a film, that's at the Chinese tonight. I think tonight's the last night. We were talking about going, but I think we might not be able to do it because it's too late now. Pretty sure it was earlier in the evening. It still may be playing. I should go check, but we've seen them live several times. We found a postcard that I had filled out when I went on a Natural History Museum trip in Denver, and I was very young. It was, it's like I went on this trip, and it was, of course, we're going home that day. But I guess I brought they had us fill out a postcard for our parents and like what we saw that we liked and all that. And we were looking at it, and the postcard had to have been printed in the 60s. Like they hadn't updated it. And all that time, I think we saw a date on it that said a code on it that made us think it was done in 62. It was just pretty funny. But I like the gold and the bears and the dinosaurs. Howard, I don't know how good these are going to look. I'm always thinking I got them pretty good, and then I look at it and I'm just like, wow, what the heck did I do there? This is really what's bothering me. I really wished I could put the glue on that and smooth it out. It would soften it up and smooth it out. Is it near 7? It's getting to... I probably should wrap it up. Maybe I'll do this one and then call it an evening. Yeah, you should check out the episode today. It was fun. It's very long. I apologize for that. When I was editing it, reviewing the edit the other day, I said to Nikki, I'm like, oh my gosh, looking at the map, the way it works on that, I'm like, we barely traveled anywhere on that thing. There's not a lot of locations on it. The cool thing is, since we did have to reshoot some of it, we didn't do the same thing, so, which is awesome. But it has your traditional rolling, absolutely what you don't want. Not rolling, I always say rolling, but it's the chips. We had them already mostly coin capsuled. So we had the coin capsule, the stuff from the Edge of the Earth expansion. I was really glad we did it though. Plus, it was just fun to have Aaron. He's into that stuff. But it's one of those games where you just tend to mess. We did, I guess, messed up a few things, sort of. Not really messed up, but it was, oh wow, that's the arrow. That's awesome. Wow, I don't know how I'm going to do that. But Derek was saying he's never seen a video where they've done it all right. And we had a mistake, so at the end, well, I'll leave it to people to watch. There's no point in talking about it. It was not a big deal. But there were some other things that somebody pointed out that we had. I think it was like comments. One of the things that there in the game, I'm like, we don't start with any money? And Aaron's like, nope. And some people are like, where does it say that in the Edge of the Earth? I honestly feel it isn't. I mean, thematically, why would you have any money going to Antarctica? I don't know, but. Oof, that arm. Glug glug. Well, I'm gonna wait on that. Okay. Let's see, let me switch cameras. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Hopefully you are able to do some craft stuff if you want, hobby stuff like this if you want. I hope. I'm gonna try this weekend. We are not filming. I do have lots of project prep though. Right now my computer's running. It's probably gonna be running till tomorrow, proxying several episodes. Everything kind of works out longer than you hope. And so that takes a while with the down camera is a long time processing. But hopefully I'll have some time to do this. We also need to work on getting rid of games. Not getting rid of them. Getting them sent to the BDG library or the charity sale. And I'm all for it. I mean, I wish we had was a little easier to make those decisions. I mean, that's what we have to. That's part of what we're talking about. We have to do. When we play a game on the show, we need to put them aside, and then as soon as it's out, released, we need to decide whether we're keeping it, and if we are, it needs to be put on the shelf. And if it stays, then we probably need to remove something of like size. Right now, I have. Well, you can probably see them back there. I have a pile of things, but I also have the Thunder Road, which was last week. And I want to keep that one, so I need to find a space for it. That's going to be challenging when we have big stuff. Thankfully, most of those kind of big things, we're keeping them, but it's so much stuff. We just got a while back, we did the Tebaru, I think is what they call that system, the Bad Karmas. Kind of an alpha of that game. They sent us the game. It's supposedly the produced game probably 2 months ago, or just before we left or near before we left for BGG Spring. And we're at least gonna try it on the stream again, and maybe do it as a show, and see how it is. I wonder how that system's supposed to have lots of other games that you can do in it, but this one game is the only thing I think you're getting in the system. Now, they might have done, I think they had like other things that they were going to do that were like part of the Kickstarters. I mean, they had a Kickstarter on Indiegogo or something like that, I think, or maybe a GameFound. But we want to try that one out. It's actually, seemed pretty neat. We were definitely playing with a system that didn't 100% do everything it was supposed to do, so we'll find out if that's better. And I opened the box, but it says they sent us a nice note, and it said it is a KLAX-friendly shelf game, and I just was laughing. Number one, I don't know what KLAX they're talking about, because it's way deeper than a KLAX. It's going to hang out by like 6 or 7 inches. But hey, seriously, no problem. Lots of fun stuff. Thanks for joining me too. But anyway, I'll be back painting on Tuesday. We will not be streaming on the 4th. I'm glad I realized that. But Oh wow, I got to get the schedule together for the Tabletop Live Network for this weekend too. So yeah, go to our boardgamegeek.com/live page to see when we're streaming and others are streaming. We will not have a full month next month. Already we're not going to do the 4th, but we also leave to go to Dallas for a few days before we go to Gen Con. So I'm excited though. I mean, I'm very excited about Gen Con. There's a ton of neat games coming. So anyway, if you want to join me, I'll be here next Tuesday, and then probably we'll be back the following Tuesday with the Game Night Live, and then I think I'm going to be painting in on Thursday. We'll see though. I actually have to schedule around Derek being out of town for a weekend, for 3 or 4 days. So I want to make sure that that works out. So I'm painting on that day. So that may be a paint rejigger at all. But I need to look soon so that I can get the schedule because it's coming up. Thank you everybody, and thanks for chatting. And I hope you have a great weekend. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really hoping it's not too crazy hot and we can actually do some other things, especially since we're not filming. But we definitely need to pull games. So many games. I'm looking at big things here that maybe could go, so that something else big could go in its place. So I'll have to think about that. Anyway, let's see if we can raid somebody. I don't know. It's Thursday. Let's see. We got Bonds is on, and she's playing Raw and Right in figuring out a solo mode. Nice, Raw and Right. I'd like to play that. Let's do that. Say hello for me. I click through, but that's not what I'm trying to do. Let me see here. Creator dashboard. There we go. I wonder when she started. She usually starts at 5:30, so. Oh, Defoob is streaming. Oh, they've been up for a while too. Everybody's been up 2 hours. Has anybody been up for a short time? Let's go to Bonds. Looks like she's still playing. If you want to join in on Twitch, you just click through to join in the raid. And I'm sorry about the YouTube folks, but thanks for joining me anyway. And have a great one. Let's see if this can go. Hey. Yep, raid now. Okay, bye Twitch folks. See you next time. And then YouTube. Okay, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Sorry, this is it's always such clumsy, but I'm happy we're streaming on both because folks like Cersei wouldn't be there, watching us on that stuff. So take care, everybody. Have a great one.